Okay, so it looks like we're officially live on YouTube, so I'm just going to put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And I'll just get Haley, can you confirm that you can see that?
Yeah, okay. That format is perfect.
It's good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I just have to make sure I can still see people who are coming into the waiting room. So we're at just about 20 participants joining us on Zoom, and we're also live on YouTube. So for those people watching on YouTube, you'll just have to bear with us as we go through housekeeping stuff for an online meeting. But we're expecting a few more, so we'll just wait another minute or two. So Haley, we're at 7:01. All of our
Yeah.
guests are here, those who are going to be speaking. So I imagine some of our club delegates will trickle in as they are available.
Yeah, I'm thinking the
Um,
ones in my time zone might be a little bit late joining because it's only 6 o'clock here,
yeah,
and some of them might be still heading home from work.
yeah,
So we'll get going, and they can trickle in as they get home.
sounds good.
Okay, so is the meeting being recorded?
It's being recorded on YouTube, but we should also record it here.
Okay.
Um, it's been so long since I've been on Zoom. So those of you who were with us last year will remember we tried to use Microsoft Teams and it was didn't go as smoothly as I would have liked. So thank you to Ontario Curling Council for lending us their Zoom account to use for this meeting tonight, and hopefully things will go a little more smoothly this evening.
Okay, so I see that the meeting is now being recorded. So good evening, everybody. My name is Haley Smith. I'm the president of the Northern Ontario Curling Association, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the 2025 annual general meeting of the Northern Ontario Curling Association. This year marks the fifth year that we're conducting our AGM using an online meeting platform. And I would like our executive director, Laura Forget, to take a minute to explain how the meeting will proceed.
Okay, so if you were here at the very beginning, I just ask that you keep your microphone muted throughout the course of the meeting. There may be an opportunity for you to unmute and ask questions at various points, but it's just easier if there's no distraction with background noise. If you find that your internet is not the greatest and you don't have a great connection, you can keep your camera turned off and it will use less bandwidth from your internet. I will do my best to monitor the chat throughout the meeting. And there may be some moments where our keynote or someone else might suggest that you can use the function, and that at those points I will be monitoring it. We're going to use polls again. If you remember from last year, the polls did not work. So I have pre-scheduled all the polls. That should work smoothly this time. So um, instead of moving or seconding with you can use a thumbs up, you can raise your hand if you want to move or second a motion. And then I will launch a poll and it will allow you to vote on whether you are in favor or opposed to each motion. Once most people have voted on the poll, we will move on. And if you have a request from the floor or a question, there is a raise hand function as well.
Okay, thank you, Laura. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order and request that a moment of silence be observed for those who have passed in the last year. Thank you. So as a reminder, only club delegates are permitted to make a motion and to vote on any motions brought forward. Noca board members will not vote unless they are also a club delegate. All reports and statements have been previously circulated to the club delegates with the meeting package. As Laura had already indicated to you, the meeting will be live streamed in an effort to reach Noca's broader curling community, and a portion of the meeting will be in camera following the completion of the agenda in order for club delegates to raise any matters of concern or interest to the Noca board and executive director. So at this time, I would like to introduce the Noca board and staff. As I said earlier, I'm Haley Smith. I am the board president and also the Region 1 director. Trevor Bono is the vice president and a director at large. Tyler Stewart is secretary treasurer and Region 2 director. Karen Saramaki is Region 3 director. Dave Cutler, Region 4 director. Jeff King, Region 5 director. Our Region 6 director position is vacant at the moment. Leslie Kerr is director at large, and Amanda Gates is director at large. Our executive director is Laura Forget. I'd also like to introduce our guests for this evening. From the Curling Canada Board of Governors, we have Ray Baker, Ontario Curling Council Manager of Programs and Operations, Aaron Jarvis, Ontario Curling Council Chair, Jerry Sunwell, Myers Norris Penny, Candace Phillips, and our keynote speaker, Dustin McCush, who is the Manager of Youth Development and Programming for Curling Canada. Laura, would you please ensure a record is kept of the participants of this meeting?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. And can you please confirm that the notice of meeting was sent out to all club delegates at least 21 days prior to the meeting as required by our Constitution, and that the meeting is duly constituted?
Yes, notice of the meeting was sent to all voting delegates on August 11th, 2025, and as such, the meeting is duly constituted.
Thank you. And can you provide a report on the number of voting delegates present and confirm that we have quorum?
We had 31 voting delegates register for the meeting, and our quorum is 5, so we do have quorum.
Thank you. So we come to one of our first motions. The agenda for tonight was circulated prior to the meeting. Are there any requests for additional items to be added to the agenda, including new business?
I see no hands.
Okay. So could somebody please make a motion that the agenda be accepted as distributed?
So this is where you can use the under React on your,
Nope.
so Mike Desley
Desley. Yeah.
and
And
Ken
a
Popachansky.
seconder, Ken. Thank you. And please
Okay,
use the poll on your screen to vote on the motion. And again, this is club delegates.
Okay, we've got 17 in favor and 0 opposed, 18.
Okay, that motion is carried. Okay. We will move on and I'll ask Ray Baker to bring greetings from Curling Canada, please.
Thanks, Haley. It's great to be here. On behalf of Curling Canada's board chair, Terry Palanchuk, and CEO Nolan Thiessen, it's truly an honor and a privilege to join all of you at the Northern Ontario Curling Association today. Events such as this remind me of what makes curling such a special community. We're all here with a shared vision and ambition to make our sport better for every curler in the country, whether they're stepping onto the ice for the first time or they're chasing gold medal dreams as Team Canada. All of you at Northern Ontario Curling Association should be proud of the work you put in, often with little or no recognition. Please know that we couldn't be more grateful for your dedication and passion for the sport of curling. And please know that Curling Canada will offer our support and expertise to help you along the way. We're all in this together, and I want to thank you for inviting me today and giving me the opportunity to tell you how important you all are in making our sport better. Again, my thanks and our best wishes to all of you for the coming season. Thanks.
Thanks, Ray. I'd now like to ask Jerry Sundwall to bring greetings from the Ontario Curling Council.
Thanks, Haley. I bring greetings from the Ontario Curling Council. The Council has had another successful year with a number of new initiatives and programs. Ontario Curling Council continues to work with Northern Ontario Curling Association and Curling Ontario to coordinate our policies and practices. Safe sport has continued to be a focus as we are now working with Curling Canada, led by Jen Ferris. The policies have been reviewed and approved by Noca, Curling Ontario, and OCC, and have been submitted for final implementation in the fall of 2025. The Amnestis Curling Camp and Trillium Curling Camps have had successful runs this year. Both camps filled quickly, and then we opened up for additional campers, which brought the camps to pre-COVID levels. This is a huge, successful growth in this in the camps. Thanks to both North Bay and KW Granite for providing ice and all the coaches and counselors who make this camp run. A number of new programs were run by Noca, hosted by OCC. We have had a great plan set for next year to increase our participation across the line. Overall, OCC has had a very successful year and has its budget and operational plan in place for the 25-26 season. This year, we have had a new manager of programs and operations for OCC, Aaron Jarvis. Aaron took over the role from Jen Ferris and has managed to work with our members, the government, and Curling Canada. She has been welcomed by all and been able to assume her duties in a seamless manner and introduced new programs this year. Some of her favorites were the wheelchair curling and youth initiatives. Thanks, Aaron, for all the work you've performed. And thanks to Haley and Laura for the work they've done in conjunction with OCC. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. So at this time, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. Dustin McCush is the Manager of Youth Development at Curling Canada, where he plays a key role in ensuring young curlers from across the country are having fun, developing their skills, and staying aligned with the long-term curler development framework. Through education programs and meaningful skill development events, Dustin helps build a world-class youth development system that supports all curlers, whether they're on the competitive pathway or curling for life in our communities. Dustin is also an accomplished competitor himself. He is the 2016 U18 Optimist International Champion, a 2018 U18 Canadian Silver Medalist, and the 2019 Alberta U21 Provincial Junior Champion. He's also a 5-time men's provincial competitor, so he truly understands the athlete's journey from grassroots to high performance. Dustin is a competition development coach in training, has a Bachelor of Education, or is a Bachelor of Education graduate from the University of Alberta, and he coached Team Saskatchewan at the 2022 U18 Nationals. Whether he's coaching, creating programming, or mentoring young athletes, Dustin brings a thoughtful, athlete-centered approach to everything he does. Please join me in welcoming Dustin McCush.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Haley. Just going to share my screen. Everyone can see my screen okay and hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it looks great,
Yes.
Justin.
Awesome. My Wi-Fi unfortunately is down right now, so I'm hotspotting from my phone. So hopefully everything goes smoothly. So before I begin, and Ray alluded to it, but I'd like to start by acknowledging the incredible work and impact of the Northern Ontario Curling Association and all provincial and territorial member associations. Curling Canada works strongly together in partnership with the Northern Ontario Curling Association to provide exceptional youth programs and events to youth curlers, coaches, and parents. And this is kind of a cool graphic to see, as I know is a big year in Ontario with Curling Ontario launching a new logo in Northern Ontario recently as well. So pretty neat to see such similar logos now all across the country. So yeah, I'd like to thank all of our partners in curling. So at Curling Canada, we asked ourselves a simple but critical question. What is our goal in youth curling? The answer was clear. We want more youth curling, more youth developing their skills, and more youth enjoying the sport. So how do we get there? Through targeted youth engagement and youth development strategies and initiatives, age and stage appropriate pathways, programs, and events that grow our young curlers. Every initiative we take on, every dollar we invest are tied to these outcomes. We are focused on growing participation, skill development, and having fun. So next, I'd like to show a quick video of what that looks like. So impact of youth curling. On paper, youth mean more curlers in our curling centers, but if we look deeper, those youth are our future and lifelong contributors in our sport, whether that be as ice technicians, coaches, volunteers, and even club presidents. They also bring families into the sport. A single youth participant might mean two parents in the stands, one on a volunteer list, and maybe a new team and an adult league. Youth curling isn't just a program, it's a pipeline for sustainability, growth, and community building. If we want youth curling experiences to wow, we need to start meeting kids where they're at, where they're paying attention, whether that's social media, schools, or community events. Then we don't need to sign them up for a full season right away. We need to give them a taste, just enough to make them curious and eager for more. We need to think teaser, not full commitment. And let's be honest, curling isn't easy. That's actually part of the magic. When we tell new youth it's simple, they feel discouraged when it isn't. Instead, we should say, this may be tough, but you can do this. That message inspires persistence. Most importantly, we build around the right age and stage, developing not just skills like technique and strategy, but also teamwork, sportspersonship, and character. Yes, we need to keep score, but we need to celebrate effort, progress, and values just as much as wins. If If we want youth to not only try curling, but truly love it, we need to make it fun, social, and unforgettable. We need to play music, create moments, do things that make them want to take out their phone and share their experiences with their friends. That's not a distraction, it's free promotion and part of what makes the experience relevant to them. Prizes are great when possible, but what really matters is delivering something they'll remember for the rest of their lives, something worth talking about. And let's be intentional about social connection. How can we help participants meet new people, make friends, and feel like they belong? Because the truth is, many come to the sport, but stay for the friendships. And finally, don't be afraid to charge a little bit more, but reinvest it wisely. Use it to create real value, support those who need help by accessing programs, and ensure organizers have the tools, support, and motivation to keep doing this well. That's how we make curling experiences that people enjoy, remember, and share forever. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was just youth curling's evolution, and this has changed quite a bit in the last 10 years. And even from my days as a youth curler, back in the day, there was really just U18 from an event standpoint, but something all across the country, there wasn't many standardized programs. So since 2015, 2016, thanks to a big donor, many different events and programs and initiatives were created, which has been fantastic. And one of the big things has been new formats like skills curling, doubles, triples, rotating fours. This helps to keep the game fresh and inclusive, especially for clubs that might have different program numbers in their youth programs. So you could have triples on one sheet, fours on another sheet. Doubles has also been huge with the inclusion in the Olympics. We're also seeing a shift to open gender formats in youth curling, giving more flexibility and encouraging participation. Shorter games, music during sessions, as we chatted about, even things like swag hoodies, water bottles, broom stickers. These aren't just extras, they're part of the culture young people can connect with. And finally, one of the big pieces has been the on-ice coaching. So you might see this in your curling center at different events, and that's been another positive benefit for youth curling recently. So the next thing I wanted to pull up here was Curling Canada's long-term curler development framework known as the LTCD. So all of our programs are built upon the LTCD, and it's a multi-stage framework with pathways for curlers of every age and ambitions, whether that's recreationally or competitively. The primary goal of the LTCD is to support curlers for various ages and stages so that they can continue to grow, develop, and have fun. So this is kind of a graphic that displays all of the different programs. There's many more programs out there for sure, but this highlights a few of them. So basically from first touch of discovering curling all the way to long-term involvement, which I mentioned we want to see, whether that's recreationally or competitively. So it starts with exposure. So try curling events, school programs, camps. Then it moves into development, learning the game, practicing skills, understanding strategy. And then from there, we offer a wide range of programs and events for curlers of U9, U12, U15, U18, U20, 21. And this helps retain youth, but it's also about showing what's next. And if we build intentional programs and events, this makes it more rewarding and achievable for participants and ultimately grows lifelong curlers. So wanted to highlight a few of those programs on Curling Canada's pathway. And one of our national programs is the Girls Rock presented by Scotty's program. So this was introduced a couple seasons ago, and Girls Rock is a free try curling event and also a learn to curl program designed to introduce girls ages 9 to 16 to the sport of curling in a supportive female-led environment. So this past year in Northern Ontario in Thunder Bay at the Scotties, there was a Girls Rock Try Curling event where over 50 participants took place at the Port Arthur Curling Center. Through this program, there's a number of resources available. I know there's a revamp program that's going to be launched here very soon, based on lots of feedback. There's also assets available as well for all curling centers. And I know Laura from Noca was there in Thunder Bay, so maybe I'll ask Laura to share some information about how the event went in Thunder Bay.
Yeah, thanks, Dustin. I was really lucky to be there for most of the day at Girls Rock in Thunder Bay. It was incredible to see the girls gain confidence just throughout one day on the ice. We were lucky enough to have some former Olympians there, so they had their medals, and the girls got to get up close and take pictures with the medals. But the thing that I heard from all of the coaches that were there were they were just so surprised to see how quickly the girls made the space and especially the lounge upstairs their own. So they walked in that morning not really sure even where to put their shoes or what to do. And by the end of the day, they were running all over the place and they had stuff all over the tables and they had really made that space theirs and felt comfortable there and they identified as curlers. So that was really neat. And the other thing was I was on the ice for a part of the day, but I was also doing a coach's rock program. So I spent quite a bit of time behind the glass listening to the conversations of the parents who most knew nothing about curling, and it was their first exposure to the game as well. And like Dustin said, one kid joining the sport also might mean their whole family joins. And I heard lots of parents say, "Oh my gosh, this looks really fun. I want to get out there and try." So we, as member associations, get some funding from Curling Canada to run one of these programs each season. Last year, it was in conjunction with the Scotties, and so Curling Canada took the lead. But if there's a curling club or a community that's interested in running a program like this season, please reach out. And it's had some great success, and I think it's only going to grow. So
Thanks, Laura. So the next program I wanted to highlight is our U12 Rockstars program, and it's a nationally supported youth development program built directly from our LTCD, and it's designed for those curlers who have completed a 1 year, 1 season Learn to Curl program and ready to take that next step. So this one is really relatable for anyone who's on the call that's maybe a youth program leader or on the club board is definitely worth looking into. And it includes programs for both U9 and U12 based on number of years of experience and includes fully designed lesson plans, making it easy for coaches to run meaningful age-appropriate sessions. Also includes achievement reports for both the instructors and curlers, which parents love, as it helps track progress and stay engaged. So the program costs $185 and is a one-time fee. You'll get annual updates from Curling Canada, which adds value over time and something we look at every off season or in the spring and summer and make updates. And just recently we did a big review of the Rockstars program. So if you're on the call and you're already have this program, there'll definitely be some updates coming your way very soon. So if you're looking to learn more or about the program, you can visit our youth curling website or email rockstars@curling.ca. So the next one of our most popular programs is the Hit Draw Tap program, and it's a fantastic way to bring energy, excitement, and a little bit of competition into your youth programming, and it's designed for ages 6 to 12. So this program was introduced back in 2018 as a national program, and a lot of you would be very familiar with it as it was piloted in Ontario initially. So Jen Ferris was initially heavily involved in the creation of Hit Draw Tap and became a standardized program shortly after that is held all across the country. So setup is simple, kids love it, and it's a great opportunity for parents to see their kids learning the different shots. And plus it connects you to a nationwide initiative, which is pretty neat. So if you haven't run a Hit Draw Tap event at your club yet, this season is definitely the perfect time. So you can contact Laura as she runs a program there in Northern Ontario. And I know it was the first year in Northern Ontario this past year for, I think, before pre-2020 kind of. So it's been a little bit since it's been in Northern Ontario. And I know there was some great success there this year, and there being an East and West Hit Draw Tap event. And I was able to be at the one in North Bay at the East event, which was great to have it alongside our U15 Rockfest event. And I know Laura was at both of those events, so welcome Laura back to share a bit more about Hit Draw Tap.
yeah, you'll hear this later in my report, but this is one of the great success stories of our season last year, I would say. So you can just see by the pictures um, the excitement on the kids' faces. So I work at home by myself most of the time, so these events are an incredible way to connect with the community and remember why we do what we do in the sport. So Jen Ferris and I had the pleasure of running the event at the Scotties in Thunder Bay. So all these kids got to step onto the arena ice at the Scotties. Their parents were in the stands. They had signs and there was music playing, and the kids got to, the Jumbotron operator actually had the kids and their fans up on the Jumbotron, which was a big highlight for them. So that was a really cool experience for myself and all of the kids. And then the event in North Bay was really neat because this Rockfest event is the next step for these Hit Draw Tap kids. So they got to participate in the opening ceremonies of Rockfest East, join in the pizza party with all the U15 athletes. And those are actually my two kiddos there in the middle. And I can tell you that those hoodies that they got are in regular rotation in their wardrobe. So the hoodies are a huge hit. They brought their medals to school. And so if your club is interested in the Hit Draw Tap program this year, we're really excited to be working with Curling Canada again to get the kids on the arena ice at U18 Nationals in Timmins. So for another fantastic experience. So definitely reach out, get your club signed up. I can share all the details. And we'll definitely have a call amongst youth coordinators as the season gets going so we can talk about that.
So the next program I want to jump into is U15 Rockfest, and I want to start by just showing a couple videos from this past year at the Montana's Briar in Kelowna as we had it paired in conjunction with the U15 Rockfest West. So just a couple short videos would like to show you.
And we're here for this year's Montana's Briar. We want to welcome those participating in the Under 15 Rock Fest, a blend of training and competition. The event aims to provide young curlers with all the skills necessary to become well-rounded players. Welcome to the Montana's Briar, all of you participating in the Under 15 Rock Fest.
It's the future.
Tyler Tardy, the former Canadian junior champion, twice over, signing autographs for those here at Under 15 Rock Fest. Ended up being a
A couple pretty neat videos there from Kelowna, and why I wanted to share those is because this year we have the U15 Rockfest East in Ontario, and will be held in conjunction with the Scotties Tournament of Hearts in Mississauga. So definitely a fantastic opportunity, and just want to hop into a program a little bit more. And yeah, definitely for young athletes, it's an easy youth program. Sorry, it's an easy thing for youth program leaders to incorporate and for your curlers to qualify for, and includes skills clinics and some skills, or you might know it as singles curling, which is a little preview as we'll be changing the name here shortly, as well as the triples format. So definitely keeps everyone engaged and it's developmentally focused. So I know Ontario Curling Council is hosting some qualifiers this year, which is great. So I believe there's one in Sturgeon Falls and then three in Southern Ontario that Curling Ontario will have there. But yeah, definitely a great event that we have planned. That'll be at the Dixie in Mississauga with 72 young curlers from Northern Ontario, Nunavut, and Quebec. So just wanted to highlight U15 Rockfest. And yeah, this was from North Bay back in March. So we had a great time at the North Bay Granite Club there. And you can see on the bottom picture there, the Hit Draw Tap curlers. So definitely they can see their kind of next stage there, and a good opportunity for like-minded curlers to come together and meet each other, develop their skills, and have lots of fun. Maybe Laura, do you want to speak a little bit about Rockfest as well?
Yeah, so we're excited to be hosting an in-person qualifier this year. What we found is that sometimes the scores that get entered individually at clubs don't necessarily reflect an accurate score. And it's also an opportunity for some training for scorers. So we also heard from actually some people on this call who were either at Rockfest in North Bay or at Rockfest East 2 seasons ago in Niagara, that the development portion of the event is an incredible opportunity for the athletes, but also coaches. So we're looking at incorporating more development camps in conjunction with OCC, and thanks to Aaron for partnering with us and with Curling Ontario on this. So the event in Sturgeon Falls will have a development component as well. And if other clubs are interested in any of those development days, please reach out. It was a really fun event. It was a whole weekend long. So Dustin and I were there as coaches, and I know I see Steve Meunier on this call, and you can see him in the picture there as well. Um, so it was really fun to get all these athletes together, and they're competing as singles, but for me, it was so cool to see. They throw their shots as singles, they're being scored as singles, but they have sweepers who they're competing against, really. And I scored a team of 4 boys in the final, and those boys were neck and neck the entire time, but they swept so hard for each other's shots, which I thought was so cool to see and just a testament to our sport and the kids who are coming up in this sport. So I think 2 points separated them, and really you could sabotage somebody's shot by either not sweeping as hard or sweeping too hard, but they were cheering for each other. They wanted it so badly for each other, and um, I just think it's really cool to see these athletes develop in this way, and to do it in conjunction with Hit Draw Tap was neat too.
Thanks, Laura. So coming from a small town myself, a town of 1,200 people, I think there's probably a few rural clubs on the call here. So just wanted to kind of highlight rural communities. And in my previous time at Curl Sask was a big focus for ours was increasing that engagement with our rural facilities. And one of the key things that we incorporated was U15 and U12 triples cups. And it was just hugely impactful in terms of getting more curlers getting to play together and on teams and meeting each other. So just wanted to kind of highlight a couple quotes from a story that was done a couple of years ago. And I know Northern Ontario is big geographically, so I know that does present some challenges. And I think last year just demonstrates the creative solutions behind in terms of creating an East and a West hit draw tap championship shootout. And I think there's other routes there. And I know OCC is quite involved as well in terms of development camps too. So I just wanted to put a highlight on kind of rural communities as well and just how key they are in our curling system across the country. And then next wanted to just mention a few very exciting events in Northern Ontario this year, some national championships. So we have 3 Canadian championships, the Canadian U18 and U20s and U21 mixed doubles that will be taking place in Timmins and Sudbury. And I know that economic generation will be significant, and the events play a key role in inspiring future champions as well, though, and building curling in those communities and surrounding areas. So if you're in or around nearby, definitely check out those events in Timmins and Sudbury. And I'm looking forward to going to Timmins in February there for about 10 days. So it should be a great event there. I know U18s was there a couple seasons ago. So looking forward to it being back there and heading to Timmins in February. And that's a big one as well in terms of number of teams, as there'll be 42 U18 teams from all across the country there, male and female. So looking forward to it. And then the last thing just wanted to mention in terms of what's next and looking ahead, and there's some exciting initiatives on the horizon. First, we're supporting increased implementation, as I mentioned earlier, of different formats. So I mentioned skills curling. So that's one we've been working on in terms of a new app and a new brand that'll be launched extremely soon. We're also placing a renewed focus on ice curling, school curling experiences, because when kids try the sport for the first time, that we want that impression to count and for them to become curlers. This fall, also definitely keep an eye out for our youth curling webinar series. So we had our first one last Wednesday, and there was 249 parents and coaches from all across the country registered, and over 170 joined us on that one. So definitely looking forward to the next 4. Our next one is next Wednesday, September the 17th, and it'll be on sorry, the next one will be with Kyle Paquette and Elaine Daigle-Jackson on building your team's culture. And then, finally, we're continuing to build resources for youth coordinators and affiliated curling centers and enhancing youthcurling.ca as well. So just included a screenshot of our youthcurling.ca website. This will change in the next kind of couple months as we're bringing it over to our main curling.ca website, but definitely is the go-to in terms of youth curling information, in addition to the OCC's and Noca's websites as well. So that concludes my youth curling presentation. And Laura, I'm not sure if we have time for questions or if there are any questions, but if there are any questions from the group, happy to take a couple questions. And while you might be thinking of your questions, just want to thank Laura for all of her work in Northern Ontario. And we get to connect almost daily, if not weekly, if not daily. So as well as Aaron Jarvis, who's on the call here too. And we work very closely with all of our member associations and who I know work very closely with you. So yeah, definitely we want to grow youth curling. So reach out at any time and yeah, happy to connect.
Yeah, I'll just say too, Dustin has been hugely helpful for me as we try to grow our youth programs here in Northern Ontario. And it's a huge benefit of your membership with us is access to somebody like Dustin, who is a wealth of knowledge and resources, and is very accessible to even people at the club level. It's not just me who gets to talk to Dustin all the time. His email is always open for anyone at the club level who has questions or you need to bounce an idea off him or you're looking for a specific resource. So please reach out to myself or Dustin if you have youth related questions. And I know a lot of people on this call aren't necessarily the youth coordinators at their clubs. So we'll make sure to reach out with some um, tangible resources that you can share with those people after this meeting. Of course, you can always share the link to this recording on YouTube afterwards, but we can share Dustin's slide deck and any other links that might help your youth coordinators as well.
All right, I don't see any questions in the chat, but yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for having me on, and hopefully there was some information in there you can take forward into your curling centers this season, and all the best to you all, and definitely hope to see you in a curling center or curling arena soon, and yeah, all the best this season.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks, Dustin. Yeah, I mean, the future of curling is our youth. So the more that we can invest in youth programs, the more successful our clubs are going to be moving forward. So thank you again. We're at the part of the agenda where we're looking at the minutes from the AGM of June 24th, 2024. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? They were circulated with your meeting package. If there are no errors or omissions, could somebody please move to accept the meeting minutes of June 24th, 2024 as distributed? I see Matt Shawtroff and a seconder, Mark. That floated by me on the screen really quickly, so I didn't catch the last name. I think it was B-A-R or something.
Yeah, Mark Barrett. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just
And if you can use the poll on your screen to vote to accept the minutes, that would be great.
got 18 in favor and none opposed.
Okay, thank you. That motion is carried. There was no business arising from the minutes, so we'll move on to the finances section of the agenda. And I'd like to call on Candace Phillips from Myers Norris Penny to present the auditor's report for the past year. So Candace, over to you.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm just going to put in a request here to be able to share the financial statements to go through them with y'all tonight. The one thing that has changed since last year when I met with you guys at the end of June is that our name did change during the year. So instead of being under BDO Canada, we're now under MNP, but it's still all the same people here, and we're going to see that pop up here as well. And then we're just going to, perfect. Hopefully everyone here can see the financial statements for the year. So one of the things that makes it a bit more interesting than the typical sort of annual statements is that we actually have a 13-month period set of financial statements because the month end was changed from April 30th to May 31st. So this represents 13 months where the previous year would only have the 12 months being shown here. So then, of course, we go into our independent practitioners review engagement report, and it has the usual management's responsibilities as well as our responsibilities as practitioners. And it's always good to highlight at this point in the final paragraph here under our practitioners' responsibilities that this isn't an audit that's been performed. Instead, it's been a review engagement, and that the procedures performed do not sort of come to the same level as an audit. It is not as in-depth or picking through invoices, but we are still able to provide plausible assurance on the engagement. And this year, we have just a plain conclusion instead of a qualified conclusion. So this is the sort of gold star conclusion that everybody is looking for, and that everybody sort of strives to be able to get, and that being able to say that, you know, there was nothing that we found during our review that made us believe that there was anything materially, you know, in there that would cause us to say that's not in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. So that is what we would have there. And the reason this did change was just because of sort of the winding up of the 50-50 draws, because with many nonprofit organizations, there is the common qualification on our conclusions, just having to do with the completeness of any sort of cash-based revenue, because otherwise we would have to have people there sort of standing by and watching everybody all the time just because of the sort of nature of cash. So it's really common qualification. But back to this now that the Noca has a sort of the gold star conclusion for this past fiscal year. And then, of course, the last paragraph, this is just going to be a one-time thing, just to say that the last year's financial statements were qualified and they were audited or were reviewed by another practitioner. That's just because of you know, the change in the firm's name there as well. So getting into sort of everything here for everybody to see sort of the overall sort of snapshot of everything at May 31st, 2025 versus, you know, April 30th, 2024. It always starts off with the assets here. And we can see that the organization had assets totaling $367,447. And that mainly consists of the cash, which was about $116,000, as well as short-term and long-term investments, which are just GICs. We can see that the majority of that balance that was for the GICs were totaled to $170,850, while the one GIC that matures beyond May 31st, 2026, that singular GIC has balance of $53,948. The other balances that make up sort of the assets for the association are accounts receivable, which is mostly amounts due from clubs for membership dues and such, and that was just over 11,000. There were some prepaid expenses, which was mainly the insurance as well as the deposit and down payment for the new website that is in the works. And of course, there is the little bit of equipment there that's just under $9,000. And that just consists of sort of some things like a floor curling set, some timing equipment, a computer, so little bits and pieces that the organization has accumulated over the years to sort of bring all the programming and such together. So then, of course, on the flip side of assets, there's sort of the liabilities, the sort of cash outflows, amounts that are due to others outside of the association. And we can see that the total current liabilities came to 20,234, and that mainly consists of government remittances payable, which is just a fancy way of saying amounts due to the government, which is mainly going to be source deductions, as well as some HST ITCs to be repaid, and just some of the regular sort of accounts payable from day-to-day operations make up about the 6,200. Last year's balance was higher, of course, because there was a sort of repayable to the Ontario Trillium Foundation. So there wasn't any of that grant funding this year, so there was nothing to sort of have on that side. One of the things that we do look at for our nonprofits is comparing the current assets of about 304,000 to the current liabilities of 20,000. And as long as the current assets are great enough to cover the current liabilities, that is a strong indicator of financial health and sort of strength of the association. And then sort of wrapping up the liability side here is a small balance for deferred capital contributions, which has come down to $1,364. And this is just the remaining revenue from a very old grant at this time that came through with the Ontario Trillium Foundation a number of years ago for some equipment. And it's just recognized over the life of those assets, which is why we will just see this balance continue to sort of get lower and lower and lower until it finally is no longer on the books. And then wrapping up the largest piece here of the liabilities and net assets is sort of what we call, we have broken down here into internally restricted and unrestricted net assets. And this is just basically the accumulation of surpluses and deficits over the years. And because there is actually a net asset position, that's another good financial indicator that you know it's not a net deficit position. So this means that there has been enough surpluses over the time to be able to show that, you know, that's where a lot of the assets that are on the books have come from over there. So then, of course, the piece that usually people want to know about is sort of like, well, what happened during the year? So we'll see that on the statement of operations. And then we can see that the total revenue was really comparable to last year. It came in at $214,016 for this 13-month period. And we can see that that is mainly consisting of the membership dues, which were up to almost 95,000. Some miscellaneous income, which a large portion of that, about 10,000 or 11,000, is interest income earned on the GICs. We can see that the competition revenue came in even greater than the prior year at $49,546. And there was a little bit of that Ontario Trillium Foundation funding that had been set up as repayable in the prior year that was actually able to be sort of kept in the organization. So that's the 11,900. Well, the $34,650 coming from the Ontario Curling Council is the annual grant there that comes in. And then, of course, for the revenue, there's the expense side. And we can see that total expenses for the 13-month period was $185,532. And that consists mainly of a lot of the day-to-day operational expenses, such as like bank fees, administrative support, the other association fees of like, you know, 13,000, meetings and travel, especially since, you know, Northern Ontario is a large region here. So there is a lot of traveling to sort of service the whole region. So that was about 10,000 for all the meetings. And then some of the program costs came down this year. Of course, with Ontario Curling Council hosting and sort of taking some of that on, well, professional fees were just under 10,000, and sort of the personnel or the wages and benefits were 80,545 for the year. So overall, for this past sort of fiscal period, there was a surplus of $1,484, which we can see with last year's sort of loss for the year, that helps sort of cover off some of that as well, leaving between like the two fiscal years, about an overall surplus of 14,000 there. So overall, as we know, there's still like, this is only page 4 of the statements, but the rest of it is pretty much just looking at some of the cash flows, looking at how sort of the net assets changed, as well as numerous notes sort of breaking down things like the capital assets and things like the deferred capital contributions, and some lovely stuff that is really great when you need to fall asleep and the counting sheep isn't helping. There is a financial instrument note there that is almost a solid page of text if anyone ever needs some sort of nighttime help with sleeping there. So that is basically the statements for the year. So it was another great year for Noca, and looking forward to seeing what comes up in the upcoming year here.
Okay, thank you very much, Candace. Are there any questions regarding the auditor's report before we move to accept? So indicate either in the chat or by raising your hand if you have any questions for Candace before we move on. They already went to sleep, Candace.
Yep. I know. I was just like, after Dustin's presentation there, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have, any videos or nice, cool graphics to.
Yeah, it's pretty dry stuff.
Yep, exactly. So like I said, it was a good year though. I think that's really what everyone just wants to hear, that it was a good year.
Okay, thank you. So if nobody has any questions, could we please have a motion to accept the draft financial statements for the year ending May 31st, 2025 as presented?
So Dave, I assume hands are being raised for motion. So Dave.
Dave, okay. And a seconder?
Ron Silver.
Ron, thank you. So there will be a poll on your screen in a minute to vote on the motion.
We have 17 in favor and 1 opposed. I don't know if that was a misclick or.
Okay. Well, that motion is carried. And would somebody make a motion that the accounting review for 2025-26 be conducted?
Wow.
Desiree and Christine as a seconder. All right. And there will be another poll coming up on your screen to vote on that motion.
$18 in favor and none opposed.
Okay, that motion is carried. Thank you. And the final financial motion, could somebody please make a motion that Myers Norris Penny LLP Thunder Bay be named as the auditor for 2025-26?
Ron Silver.
Ron, thank you. And a seconder?
See, Ken.
Okay. And again, there should be a poll to vote in favor or opposed to that motion.
$19 and 20 in favor, none opposed.
Okay, that motion is carried. So we will be moving on to board and staff reports. There will be an opportunity to ask questions or request clarification following the conclusion of all reports. So the first report, and again, this was included as part of your meeting package. The first report is my report for the last year. So I'm not going to read through the whole report. Hopefully you had a chance to look through it. It did indicate our directors again that for the coming year. But I'd also like to make sure that I take this opportunity to thank Jim Turner, Rebecca Carr, and Kim Menier for their contributions to Noca and its member clubs over their tenure with the board. Jim, Rebecca, and Kim remain committed to promoting the future of curling, and we wish them every success in their future endeavors. I'd also like to thank Laura Forget for her work in the past year, particularly with youth programming. Um, this past year, we've seen a significant growth in youth curling through Hit Draw Tap, Rockfest, and the Amethyst Junior Curling Camp. And Laura was heavily involved in all of those events. So I know that this is near and dear to her heart. So the board is very much looking forward to working with Laura to explore additional opportunities for further growth in the sport of curling in Northern Ontario. So does anybody have any questions on my report for the year? Okay, we will move it over to Laura for her report.
Sorry. Multitasking here. I'm gonna spotlight and unspotlight and okay. So again, my report was circulated with the meeting package, so I'll just give kind of a high level summary and then show you really briefly probably what many of you are waiting to see, which is a sneak peek of our new website, which should be launching, if not the end of this week, very early next week. It was a very busy year, not only with all the exciting youth programs that we ran, but with the Scotties in Northern Ontario, as well as the Canadian Masters. So thank you. I said this in my report, but thank you very much to all of those host committees, the volunteers, and all the people who made those events a huge success. We had a lot of eyeballs on Northern Ontario, not just on TV, but also lots of people were in our communities and seeing the hospitality. And so thank you to all of those groups. We spent the year strengthening our relationships with OCC, with Curling Ontario, and with Curling Canada. Our voice in Northern Ontario is a strong one at all of these tables and in meetings. I myself and Haley sat on quite a few extra committees and boards, and we're involved in some pilot projects this year that I've outlined in my report. We obviously launched our new logo, which I have on. I don't even know if you can see it, but I have on right now. So that was very exciting and will provide the branding for our new website. And we're hoping to get some merch or a merch shop open so that everybody can get their hands on some new Noca clothing. I mentioned the national championships, and I would just like to highlight a few key people who played huge roles, not on the ice, but off. Well, I guess Tom was on the ice, but at our national championships, a few of the people from Northern Ontario were played a huge role, and we're very proud that they're ours. So Karen Saramaki was the chief umpire at the Scotties, and Tom Leonard was the head ice technician at the Scotties this year. Karen, I know, has a full slate of officiating duties next year. It sounds like she's going to be very, very busy, not just with the national championships here in Northern Ontario, but at some other national and international events next year. So Karen plays a huge role in our competition structure, in our officiating program here in Northern Ontario. She has basically built from the ground up. And it was exciting for us to see her in that role. Although I think when everyone got to see her on TV, I don't know if everyone remembers the broomhead situation where the ice was dirty during the Scotties, and so Karen was front and center on TV while they tried to figure out what was going on. I'm sure that was a little bit stressful for her, but we were so proud to see her on TSN. And we all know that Tom makes some of the best ice in the country, so to see him recognized and to make the ice at the Scotties was very exciting. In the same breath, talking about competitions, we obviously want to congratulate Team Dean from the Fort William Curling Club, who won the Canadian Wheelchair Curling Championship this past season. I know they've come so close so many times, and to see them finally crack that gold medal was very exciting. So we've been in conversation with people from that team to try and leverage some of the excitement of them winning and try to get more interest in wheelchair curling. So we'll be working with Ontario Curling Council to try and get some more programming in Northern Ontario to promote wheelchair curling. And their win, you'll see the trophy just behind my head here. The Northern Ontario Curling Association was the recipient this past season of our very first Curling Canada Award. So the Curling Canada Awards program was introduced in the 2013-2014 season, and we won the Governor's Cup this year. So we got this trophy, and our names are on a big trophy that come to all of our national meetings. So it was really exciting to receive that trophy. Haley and I received that at our last set of national meetings in Montreal. So looking ahead, obviously you've heard that we're hosting some very exciting national championships next season. If you are so inclined, please reach out to those host committees. I'm sure they're still looking for volunteers, sponsorship. So if you can help out in any way with those, please do. And if not, if you can make a plan to attend and see the future of our sport, it is very bright. We will continue to strengthen our provincial and national connections. Matt Allen, Curling Ontario's Executive Director, Aaron, who you'll hear from in a minute from Ontario Curling Council, and I have been working very closely together to ensure that we're using our resources and our programs most effectively in the province. We will continue to strengthen our club development and member services. So this will be a big focus for me this year now that we've got our youth programs kind of stabilized, and we'll be looking to provide more resources for clubs and figure out the best way to do that, especially with our new website. And we'll continue to strengthen those youth pathways. So please reach out to myself or Dustin if you have any questions. And without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen. This won't take long because you'll all get to see it and explore it hopefully in the next week or so. But I will share our new website. Just bear with me. Can we see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the homepage of our new website with our new logo and some new branding. We're obviously highlighting our wheelchair team here on the homepage. A little about us section. I actually just received today the new banner. This is just it was a placeholder from last season, but another spoiler. I don't know if we're going to have a new banner here that we're going to have a Women in Curling conference in Thunder Bay. So I just got a beautiful new banner that was created by somebody in Thunder Bay that will be highlighted here before the website goes live. Some stats and the news will be right on the homepage. And then you'll be able to explore our menus here. But we're hoping these are a little clearer and offer an easier navigation of the website, a little more streamlined. So I'll just, as an example, all of our policies will be listed with a button to access all the PDFs for the policies. And we hope to create a club services members only kind of area where you can access the Word documents of all the policies so that you can update them yourselves for use at your club. So that's just one example of the things that we'll be adding. So the last few things are being created to be added to the website, and we hope to launch by the end of this week or early next. So stay tuned to social media for the announcement of the launch. So our old website still has some of the relevant links on it, but we haven't been updating anything as we've been working on this new website. So I think that concludes my report. Obviously, I want to thank Haley and our board of directors for the support over the last year. It feels like it's been longer because I guess I was in another role before this one with Noca, but it's only by the end of my second season, going into my third season. So I am still learning every day. And I'm very grateful for the support of Haley and the board, and also Aaron and Jerry at the Ontario Curling Council, and my colleagues at Curling Ontario and Curling Canada has been a huge support. And with Jen Ferris moving over there, and obviously you all know Bobby Ray, we've got a great team here to support you as clubs as well.
So thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Laura before we move on to Aaron Jarvis from the Ontario Curling Council? I know it's a lot of information. Okay, I don't see any hands up, so we'll move on to Aaron Jarvis from the Ontario Curling Council. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. I'd like to start by thanking Laura for her help this year. She guided me a fair bit during my first year, and I really appreciated it. I'd also like to recognize the hard work of the Noca reps on the OCC board, Dave Cutler, Kim Meunier, and most recently Amanda Gates. Thank you for your continued work on committees and your contribution to our successful year. The OCC had a great operations year this year, delivering programs at or above the predicted numbers and building on the success of the 2023-2024 season. Across the province, we ran 24 coaching workshops, 8 ice tech courses, 2 game umpire training sessions. Approximately 370 people accessed our education and training workshops around the province over the course of the year. McIntyre Curling Club ran a successful competition coach workshop with 9 new coaches being trained, and Sturgeon Falls Curling Club ran a women's only competition coach clinic as part of the Curling Canada Gender Equity and Coaching Initiative, and we're very appreciative of those clubs for hosting those events. Port Arthur Curling Club and Curl Sudbury hosted game umpire courses, contributing to the training of the next generation of officials. Curling Ice Tech and Assistant Ice Tech courses were held in North Bay, Espanola, and Sturgeon Falls. The Amethyst Camp was hosted by North Bay Granite Club and grew in 2024 to 80 kids. It's continuing to grow and had a wait list, I believe, for the first time since at least pre-COVID. The camp is a huge success, and it continues to be a highlight of the OCC's youth programming. We're incredibly grateful to North Bay for hosting this event every year. Thank you very much. Going forward, we have committed to providing more training and certification opportunities for Ontario curlers and developing coaches. As Dustin and Laura mentioned, in-person qualifiers for U15 Rockfest East. Sturgeon Falls will be hosting a Rockfest qualifier and skills clinic on Saturday, November 29th. Registration and details about the event will be released this week. And as well, it's an Ontario Winter Games year this year. So there'll be 2 qualifiers in the north for each of the 4-person and mixed doubles competition. And thank you very much for those host clubs. I'm just waiting for a couple of more details from the ministry before that information is also all released and the registration is open. This year, the games will also feature wheelchair curling, which was not a possibility in the last games. And finally, the programs we delivered this year would not have been possible without the support of the curling facilities that partnered with us to offer the events and the incredible community of coach developers, coaches, instructors, ice tech trainers, officials, and volunteers. So on behalf of the OCC, I would like to thank everyone for your continued dedication and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay. Would somebody please entertain a motion to accept the reports of the Board of Directors and staff for 2024-25 as presented and distributed? Matt Shawtroff, thank you. And a seconder, Angela Johnson. And there'll be a poll on your screen to vote on the motion.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. 17 in favor, 18 and none opposed.
Okay, that motion is carried. Thank you. Another motion, would somebody please make a motion to ratify the actions of the Noca Board of Directors for the 24-25 fiscal year?
It's the last one.
Yeah.
Dave, you're on the board, so I don't know.
Mark?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mark and Richard Cowan has his hand up as well.
Okay, thank you. And one more vote for you.
Oh. 18 in favor, 19 and none opposed.
Okay, that motion is carried. Moving on to new business, we would like to take the opportunity to announce the winners of our volunteer awards for 2024-25. So I will turn that over to Laura to walk us through our award winners.
Okay, just bear with me as I get this presentation going again. Okay, so can you see that screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so all of these award winners were previously announced on our social media during awards week, but we wanted to recognize them again tonight. So first up, we would like to recognize our two coaches of the year. Daryl Sarazan of the McIntyre Curling Club has been a steady presence in youth curling in Timmins, respected for his calm and consistent coaching style and his commitment to athlete development at both local and provincial levels. And we'd also like to recognize Andrew Sinclair of the Kakabeka Falls Curling Club, who has built a thriving curling culture in Northwestern Ontario, coaching multiple provincial medal-winning junior teams, supporting athletes at the Ontario Winter Games, and volunteering nationally at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Both of these individuals have demonstrated exceptional dedication to mentoring athletes and growing the sport. So congratulations to Andrew and Daryl as our coaches of the year this season. Our volunteer of the year, who actually happens to be my dad, so I'm going to be a proud daughter, it was Randy Pickering at the McIntyre Curling Club. For more than 30 years, he has been a driving force at the McIntyre Curling Club, serving as vice president of the board and fostering a welcoming club culture. A certified level 2 official, he contributed at numerous provincial championships and co-chaired the 2023 U18 Canadian Championships. He is already preparing to co-chair the 2026 event, helping bring national competitions to Northern Ontario with professionalism and pride. So congratulations. And up next, I spoke about Tom a little bit already, but we want to recognize Tom Leonard of the Northern Credit Union Community Center in Sudbury. He has been part of the NCU team for over 30 years, holding his current role as ice tech since 2013. This season, he served as the head ice technician at the 2025 Scotties Tournament of Hearts in Thunder Bay, delivering championship quality ice. A provincial level ice technician and learning facilitator, Tom is a leader in his field and a mentor to ice makers across the country. And finally, I'm sure many of you will recognize this next face. Our former board president, Michael Shefsky, was awarded the Honorary Life Member Award this season. He was also inducted into the Canadian Curling Hall of Fame, as you can see in this photo being presented, that frame by Curling Canada CEO Nolan Thiessen. So that was at the Scotties in Thunder Bay. Michael Shesky has made an extraordinary impact on curling at the local, provincial, and national levels. His leadership roles include chair of the Curling Canada Board of Governors from 2022 to 2024 and president of the Noca Board of Directors from 2017 to 2020, along with decades of volunteer service at the Kenora and Keewatin curling clubs. He was recently inducted into the Canadian Curling Hall of Fame, and his contributions have shaped the game across the country. So congratulations to all of our award winners this season, and stay tuned for information on nominations for the 25-26 season.
Great, thank you, Laura. So yeah, if you have people within your clubs that that are doing, above and beyond what is expected of them, or always willing to lend a hand, or you think deserve recognition, please don't hesitate to nominate them. when the time comes for nominations for awards. We like to recognize those volunteers in our sport that deserve recognition, are often working behind the scenes, and it's nice to get a pat on the back once in a while. So if you know of somebody, please nominate them. So we've come to the point of the meeting where the live streaming is going to end, and we will continue, excuse me, the remainder of the meeting